federal case at Addis Ababa. When I spoke here last Wednesday, this is Enahoro, we get into it now. Although Nigeria was the creation of European ambitions and rivalries, its peoples had their own ancient history before the arrival of the colonizers. This newly created country contained not just a multiplicity of pagan tribes, but a number of great kingdoms, which had evolved complex systems of government independent of contact with Europe. Within its frontiers were the great kingdom of Borno, with a known history of more than 1,000 years, the Fulani Empire, which had existed for 100 years before its conquest by Britain, the Benin Empire, stretching at its zenith from east of the Niger and to well beyond Nigeria's western borders. Why you call the empire? Is from Isha, so we'll just take them like that. The Yoruba Empire of Oyo, which had once been one of the most powerful of the states of the Guinea Coast, the kingdom of Niger Delta and Calabar, the loosely organized Igbo peoples in the hinterland of the former eastern region, and the dukedoms and small tribes of the plateau. Of the three most populous ethnic groups of Nigeria, therefore, Hausa, Fulanis, Igbos, Yorubas, only the Igbos never had an organized state, an imperial past, or a golden age. They had not centralized political administration or loyalties and never had an era of kings, dukes, or conquerors. Nor did they have an early start in either Western or missionary Islamic or Christian education. The greater part of the North was Muslim. I'll speak on that, then we'll continue. Why is he bringing up this thing? Just to let you know that the fascination that Ojukwu and the rest of them had for Nigeria, and even Azikiwe, was to be able to do something that they did not have before Nigeria became a thing. In other words, Nigeria would be the opportunity that was needed to do something that was never done in their space. For instance, the Hausa people have been having kingdoms for a very long time. You've heard about Queen Amina of Zazzau. Queen Amina reigned long before the jihad. So they have a concept of central leadership or centralized leadership. The Borno had an empire, Kanem Borno Empire. The Yorubas have had 3. And so, in truth, Biafra itself was a yearning in the heart of a people to create something that gave you this idea of central authority, which is why, whether it was Zik or Ojukwu or even Ironsi, the 3 of them especially had the fascination for unitary system. That's what empires are made of, unitary system. You have everything flowing from the center, like everything. It's this centripetal. So it's centripetal in the sense that it flows from the center to the constituent parts. That's what kings do. That's what emperors do. That's not what you have in a multi-ethnic state. And the reason I'm saying this is because even Biafra was multi-ethnic. And for you to do what they wanted to do, it would be that you are creating an empire that brings into it other states apart from itself. Because the Ijaws had their own different culture and different, ethnicity. The same thing for the Ibibios, the Efiks, the Anang. Different groups have different things. The Igbos, of course, have their own different things. You're not going to be the one to create a nation where you are the majority, but they're going to have to be part of that thing. That's an empire. And the reason is this: you didn't have it. Because if you had grown with the times, you'd have discovered that even for Ibadan, by the way, the new version, not Ibadan Gogon, but the new one that you see right now, was created in 1829. The new Abeokuta, the new Egba land, which is Abeokuta, was created in 1830. Now, I'm saying that for 2 reasons. If you look at the political structure of Ibadan and Abeokuta, you will see that these people evolved something. I mean, they had something from Ife, but they added things to it because times were changing. They were not necessarily trying to go all the way back to the Dua's time. They were trying to evolve the political system. And let me say this: empires don't start out as empires. No empire in the world started out as empires. None. Even Alexander the Great, who went out, at least his father had a kingdom in Macedon. The point is that you had Ife as a kingdom, right? It's a state. It grew, then it became an empire. The same thing for Oyo. You cannot start out trying to be the overlord over people who get their own sense. But that's what this is all about. So this introduction by Enahoro actually tells us one of the reasons that these things happen, where